Well, the weekend is here, and my toxic trait is that I can't stop working them. But at least of all the work I could be doing on the weekend, building vivariums is kind of up there on like best case scenario. And on this weekend, I'm going to start on my favorite part of every build, the plants and animals in water. Now that my build week is over, I'm going to take the next few weekends to finish this project up. Seeing this with water actually makes me very excited. Alright, and then for my pump and filter and heater, all in one, I've got this Oase ThermoSmart. So here's the heater. Now something that's worked for me pretty well in the past is this Purigen synthetic filter resin. It's just a little bag and you put it just right inside your filter and it helps keep your water very, very clear. It's some sort of aquatic sorcery. But now I just need to put the pump all back together, and then I'm going to use this funnel to fill the pump up with water before I turn it on. So the waterfall looks all right, but it's a bit loud, and I think I know why. See, when I cut the second slit here for the waterfall, it wasn't in the initial plan. Underneath this whole waterfall build, there's an egg crate structure with a Tupperware container on top for the water to spill out from. But the inside of the waterfall, for the most part, is hollow. And here's the problem. Not all the water is exiting the scape properly. If we take a look inside the structure here, I believe there's a bit of water drizzling straight down the middle, splashing about 1.5 feet below. I have two solutions. The first is to do some touch-up foaming around the water exit points, which I did. The second is going to require a bit more work and a quick order online. But while we're waiting on solution 1 to dry and solution 2 to be delivered, it's time for the substrate. Now when it comes to this new enclosure, I'm going to add some substrate from the old enclosure to supplement this. It's already aged, it's got springtails, isopods already in there, so I'm going to kind of transfer some of it over here, but for now I'm going to add more of the same stuff, which is the BioDudes Terra Firma. I find that stuff works really well for snakes. Okay, I went ahead and planted most of the plants. I haven't planted most of the bromeliads yet, and I haven't planted the pothos that's going to drape over the waterfall, because I'm still waiting on some of that dry lock to dry. It does take a while. However, I think it's starting to turn out good. And now that the plants are there, I'm going to go ahead and put some of my lights on too. I've got 2 of these Hygger, I think it's pronounced, Hygger lights. And they're just going to sit side by side. I didn't really have a 72-inch light, so I got 2 30-inch ones. And then I have a UVB one. They'll just kind of sit in the middle. It's also smaller because rainbow boas don't need really a ton of UV. However, UV is always beneficial. It's literally the sun, which is everywhere in the wild, and it helps with vitamins and everything else. So I'll just have it on a timer that goes on just a few hours a day. It's not like a desert UV bulb either, it's just a tropical one. Alright, all my touch-ups from the dry lock have sat overnight and hopefully it's dry by now. So I'm going to turn on the waterfall and let's clear up this water. Okay, I think the waterfall does look amazing, and it is much quieter than it was yesterday, so I did solve that. Now the water is starting to clear up a little bit, so I guess it's time to dirty it up. I'm going to go ahead and start with Fluval Stratum, which will help with this being a planted tank as well, but this also kind of helps lower the pH level of the water, so I'll mix in some sand and some shells on top of that so it doesn't just look like black substrate. But I'll just leave it for a bit and let the water clear up again. And while that's doing its thing, I want to take a moment to step back and look at my sensor sketch. I designed this background to have pathways through it for all my various probes and sensors that will monitor and control the enclosure. And now I want to install them all. I'm just going to measure where the exit points for the probe should be here, then use my little foam saber to cut the holes in the background. And I'll do some paint touch-ups along the way. Now, to get my cables through these pathways, I'm going to use this measuring string here with a small weight tied at the bottom. If I let it drop through the gaps and tubes in the background, I can tie the power cable or the thermometer probe at the bottom exit point, then just pull it on up through the top. For a few of these, I'll have to switch it around and pull it out from the bottom. And then I'll just use some of this stainless steel here to bend into like a U shape and pin some camouflage over the hole. Now, I still want to plant that pothos over the waterfall, and I'm hoping it'll drape over it as it grows. It does look like the water has cleared up quite a bit, so I'm going to use this turbo start that has a bunch of beneficial bacteria in it, and this will just help the water quality to be fish ready, but I'll still let it cycle a bit. Well, it looks like my extra supplies finally came in. I definitely didn't have enough substrate on hand, so I ordered a couple extra bags online. And from Amazon, it looks like my filter media balls also came in, and I got the smallest ones I could find because I'm gonna drill into the waterfall and dump them inside where that egg crate is, like into the structure itself, and I'm hoping all of those filter media inside will not only help dampen the sound of the waterfall that's a little too loud, but also, you know, it'll give me some beneficial bacteria opportunity for the water feature. Now the tricky part is going to get the actual media balls inside there because I have looked all around this thing. I have reviewed previous footage, and really the only accessible way is to drill in right here. So I'm probably just gonna have to drill a hole in it and then just fill it up and cover it up and paint it to match, so you'd never know the difference. Okay, while that's drying, I'm gonna work on this side of the enclosure and see if I can get the hide going. I want to transform this standard plastic hide into something that looks a bit more naturalistic. And now that that's taken care of, let's finish this waterfall. It looks like the foam is dried, so I just need to peel off the excess, carve it, and paint it with Drylock. Well, I'd say that fix actually worked pretty well. It's dampening a lot of the sound, and now all the water sound is really just from the water on the outside of the waterfall, which is kind of what I wanted. Okay, waterfall looking good, hide looking good. Time to make a couple errands, pick up some water plants. I think some aquatic plants will add a bit of interest and a pop of color within the water section. And plants generally help with the waste breakdown process as well. But I need to make one more stop before heading back. I want to get some glass to place over the screen lid to help keep the humidity in the enclosure. And Lowe's will cut the glass for you, which is nice because cutting glass can be a pain. So while I got the plants, I also got a couple snails. You can see here. So I'll add those as well as a few rocks. And I also want to top off the substrate in the water with some lighter colored pebbles and some smoother shells that won't scratch up the snake if the boa decides to go for a swim. I'm definitely muddying this water up, but it'll clear up, just give it a little bit. And now to top off the land portion, I'm going to add some wet sphagnum moss to help maintain the humidity, some leaf litter for my cleanup crew to break down, and then a few powder orange and powder blue isopods. And to finish out the day, I'll put my new glass panels up top, and for the first time, the sliding doors on the front. It's really all coming together. I think I'm just about done, but I'll have to wait another week or two before adding any fish or Lola the boa, because I want the plants to root in, the water to cycle, etc., etc. Okay, it's been a few weeks. The plants have rooted in more, and everything's looking pretty good. I have a fogger that will only kick in when the humidity drops too low, but I think it looks super sick spilling out over the waterfall. I've been monitoring temperatures and humidity, and this build really has turned out pretty perfect as my Brazilian Rainbow Boa's new home. So now, I think it's time for the big move. I've been dreaming of doing a build like this for quite a while now, and it's crazy to see it in its final form here in my own house. All of the intricacies and meticulous planning absolutely paid off, and even though this project definitely ballooned past what I had initially planned for, I'm really happy how it turned out. It certainly won't be the last one. It has probably been 15 years since I've had fish, and I miss every moment of it.